Imagine a canvas of cosmic proportions, a battlefield, etched not in mud and blood, but in the very fabric of reality. The air crackles with the echoes of angelic lamentations, mingling with the guttural laughter of demons. At the heart of this apocalyptic tableau stands the figure we know as the devil, the ancient serpent, the deceiver of nations, a being of immense power now roaring in defiance, unrepentant and seemingly unchained. The stage is set for a celestial showdown of epic scale. But then the unthinkable occurs. Heaven doesn't unleash legions of warrior angels. God doesn't dispatch Michael, the archangel of war, or Gabriel, the herald of divine pronouncements, to quell the rebellion. Instead, a single angel, devoid of name and fanfare, steps forward from the celestial host. In his hands, he bears the tools of divine authority, a great chain forged in the heart of eternity, and the key to the abyss, the gateway to oblivion itself. With quiet, unwavering resolve, this angel seizes Satan, the embodiment of all evil, and locks him away in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. Why should this ancient, almost forgotten passage from the book of Revelation capture our attention today? Because this isn't merely a tale of cosmic retribution. It's a story brimming with hope, a testament to the eventual triumph of justice, and a potent reminder that even the most terrifying darkness in the universe has its limits, a day when it must ultimately kneel before the divine will. This story speaks to the chains that bind us, the regrets that weigh us down, the addictions that enslave us, the fears that paralyze us, and the shame that isolates us. It whispers that these chains, seemingly unbreakable, are not as immutable as we believe. In the hour ahead, we will embark on an exploration of this profound vision. We'll delve into the mystery of the unnamed angel and consider why God might have chosen him for this momentous task. We'll contemplate the significance of Satan's imprisonment rather than his outright destruction, and ponder the implications for humanity and the universe. Ultimately, our aim is to demonstrate that this story, far from being a dusty relic locked away in the book of Revelation, is a vibrant and relevant promise. It's a promise that no darkness, no matter how ancient or deeply entrenched, lasts forever. It's a beacon of hope illuminating the path toward liberation from the forces that seek to hold us captive. Before we delve deeper, I invite you, if you resonate with stories that transcend the ordinary stories, that excavate the hidden depths of meaning, challenge your perspectives, and leave you with a sense of tangible hope to show your support. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon to ensure you don't miss future explorations of faith, meaning, and the timeless power of narrative. Envision the culmination of all things as we know them. The heavens are bruised and darkened, stained by the centuries of rebellion and defiance. The very earth is scarred and fractured, a silent witness to every lie uttered, every soul deceived, and every kingdom brought to its knees by unseen, malevolent forces. The entirety of creation seems to hold its breath, caught between the throes of terror and the faintest glimmer of hope awaiting the next move of the divine. I vividly recall the first time I truly wrestled with this vision, not merely reading it as a passage of text, but immersing myself in the gravity of its implications. The book of Revelation, in its 20th chapter, recounts this pivotal moment with an almost understated simplicity. Yet the inherent power of the scene is overwhelming. Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding in his hand the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain. And he seized the dragon, that ancient serpent who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. Do you feel the inherent strangeness of this account? This is not Michael, the esteemed commander of heaven's celestial armies, renowned for his martial prowess. Nor is it Gabriel, whose voice once proclaimed the advent of salvation, itself the bringer of good news. It is simply an angel without name or title, silently and obediently carrying out the will of God. And yet, it is this seemingly unremarkable angel who steps into the forefront during this moment of ultimate judgment. Imagine the panorama of the world at that precise instant, nations shattered and in disarray, hearts hardened or humbled by the trials they have endured, and the dragon Satan himself standing defiant amidst the smoldering ruins of civilizations past. There is an almost chilling tranquility in the way Scripture describes this monumental event. No cataclysmic battle, no cosmic clash of weapons, simply an angel descending from the heavens chain, in hand, the key shimmering with an authority that is not his own, but divinely bestowed. Have you ever pondered why there is no struggle, no resistance? How could a being known as the deceiver of nations, the dragon whose cunning brought down mighty kings and prophets, be subdued with such apparent ease? Perhaps this is heaven's way of unveiling the true hierarchy of power, demonstrating that evil, regardless of how vast or formidable it may appear, is ultimately insignificant in the face of the quiet, unyielding authority of God. Does that realization resonate within you? To grasp that the darkness we fear most is only terrifying when viewed through the lens of our own limitations, but utterly powerless when compared to the boundless might of the divine. There is a haunting symbolism embedded in the items. The angel carries a key representing the power to unlock and seal destinies, and a great chain not merely for punishment, but to restrain, to confine, to declare, "Your dominion ends here for now." This particular aspect always compels me to pause and reflect. The chain is not forged by human hands, nor is it an invention born of angelic warfare. It is a gift directly from God, a tangible symbol of divine restraint. Because judgment is not always synonymous with annihilation. Sometimes it entails holding evil in abeyance, providing the world with the space it needs to breathe, to heal, to witness what life might be like without the pervasive influence of deception, even if only for a season. What sensations do you imagine would permeate that 1,000-year period? A world unburdened by the serpent's insidious whispers, free from the silent, invisible hand that subtly twists hearts toward hatred and division. Would humanity genuinely transform, or would we inevitably find new avenues for our own downfall? Some scholars and believers posit that this 1,000-year imprisonment is as much an act of mercy as it is a form of judgment. A pause, a final opportunity for humanity to glimpse the potential of a world liberated from evil's constant enticements. Is it not a sobering thought that even the devil, the ultimate rebel, is not immediately eradicated, that God in his infinite patience still allows space for even his greatest adversary to serve a purpose within the grand narrative of creation? When I initially contemplated this, it evoked a sense of unease within me. A part of me yearned for the story to culminate in Satan's complete obliteration, a resounding and definitive victory. But perhaps that very discomfort is the intended lesson, as life seldom offers such neat and immediate resolutions. The narrative of God's justice is not about swift vengeance, but about the eventual, undeniable triumph of truth. But what of the angel himself? An unnamed servant entrusted with a seemingly impossible task to seize the dragon and imprison him. Imagine the unwavering faith required to simply obey, to step onto a battlefield ravaged by millennia of rage and corruption, and to possess the inner knowing that heaven has already decreed your success. You will prevail. Have you ever felt a calling to embark on a path that terrified you? Something that felt larger than yourself, beyond your own capabilities? Perhaps the true lesson here is not solely about the dragon, but also about the angel's unwavering courage, the quiet, steadfast faith that allows him to step forward, chain in hand, trusting implicitly in the power that underpins the command. Picture the scene, the rattling of the great chain, the clinking of celestial iron against scales older than human history. The dragon's roar reverberating across the shattered landscape, then gradually fading, swallowed by the oppressive darkness of the abyss. And then silence. A world where for the first time in countless ages, the great deceiver is unable to speak, to tempt, to sow discord. What would it feel like to inhale that air, to exist in a moment, not perpetually haunted by the voice of temptation? Would humanity ascend to a higher plane of existence, or would it succumb once more to its own inherent frailties? The prophecy leaves us with questions as weighty as the chains themselves. And so, as Scripture tells us, Satan is bound, not destroyed, for even this detail serves a larger purpose, but confined to prevent him from deceiving the nations any longer until the 1,000 years are complete. A duration far surpassing any empire or civilization ever known 1,000 years, devoid of the dragon's insidious whispers. And yet the narrative cautions us he will be released for a brief period at the end of this era. An angel descends from heaven, not heralded by trumpets or surrounded by fiery seraphim, but simply appearing silent, deliberate, almost unassuming. He holds the great chain and the key to the bottomless pit. His name remains unknown. Scripture does not reveal it, and tradition does not claim it. He is not Michael, whose very name means, who is like God, the mighty warrior who cast Satan from heaven in earlier visions. Nor is he Gabriel, the messenger, whose voice carried hope to Mary and fear to Zechariah. He is simply described as an angel, a servant, a soldier of heaven, whose identity is intentionally obscured. Perhaps this is because what truly matters is not who he is, but what he carries, and the authority that has dispatched him. When I allow that truth to fully permeate my understanding, it stirred something profoundly personal within me. We inhabit a world consumed by names, status, fame, brand, and reputation. Yet in heaven's grand design, it is not the celebrated figures who step onto the world's final battlefield. It is the obedient, the willing, the unseen. And perhaps this is the underlying message whispering from the edges of the story. God does not invariably select the loudest or the most renowned for the pivotal moments in history. Sometimes he chooses the faithful nobody, the one willing to simply go because they have been instructed to do so. I envision this angel stepping onto a battlefield, still smoldering with the remnants of rebellion. The dragon, Satan himself, looming large with age-old hatred, burning in his eyes. His scales darkened by centuries of deceit, the air trembling under the weight of every lie whispered to every heart since the dawn of Eden. And then something unexpected transpires. The angel does not unsheathe a flaming sword, does not shout or summon legions. He simply walks forward, bearing the chain and the key, symbols of authority he did not create himself, but which were bestowed upon him from the throne of God. And here is what resonates most deeply with me. The dragon battles kingdoms, corrupts nations, whispers in the ears of kings. But in the end, when confronted with divine command, he is rendered powerless. All that fury, all that cunning, all those centuries of terror collapse like smoke in the wind when faced with heaven's immutable will. That moment speaks volumes, doesn't it? Evil appears formidable when we confront it alone. But in comparison to the authority of the one who created all things, it is utterly impotent. And it prompts me to ask, what dragons do we face in silence? What ancient lies do we still cling to because we have forgotten the source of true authority? Have you ever gazed upon your own chains and wondered if heaven possessed the power to shatter them? Consider it. This angel, whose name remains unknown, becomes the one who seizes the very embodiment of evil, binds him, and casts him into the abyss. The text does not suggest that he hesitated, nor does it imply that he questioned his worthiness. He simply obeyed. And through that act of obedience, the course of history itself was altered. Imagine the emotional fortitude required to step forward against the ancient serpent, even knowing that heaven's authority stood behind him, to stand face to face with a being who once led countless angels into rebellion. But Scripture clarifies that the angel did not come in his own strength. He came bearing what had been entrusted to him, the key and the chain. That was all that was required. And perhaps that is the aspect of the story we most often overlook. The true power resided not within the angel himself, but within the instruments he carried. The chain was not forged by pride, nor was the key acquired through ambition. They were entrusted to him because he was willing to act when called. Sometimes I wonder, what if we placed as much trust in what heaven has placed in our hands as this angel did? What if we ceased measuring ourselves against the perceived size of the dragon, and instead measured the dragon against the authority we carry within us? The text informs us that Satan was bound to prevent him from deceiving the nations any further. That moment signaled the end of his age-old mission. For 1,000 years, the great deceiver's voice would be silenced, and the world would finally experience what life was like without the dragon's insidious whispers. The chains clanked shut. The abyss slammed closed, sealed until the 1,000 years reached their completion. But have you ever questioned why an unnamed angel was chosen for this task? Why not Michael, who had already defeated Satan in heaven? Why not Gabriel, the trusted voice of God? Some scholars suggest it is to demonstrate that angelic rank is irrelevant. What matters is divine authority. To teach us that no matter how insignificant we may feel, it is not our personal strength that binds the dragon, but the power of the one who sends us. I find that both humbling and incredibly hopeful, because if heaven can entrust an unnamed servant with the key to the abyss, what might heaven entrust us with if we simply said yes? Have you ever considered that? Even if your name remained unknown to the world, would you still be willing to step forward, chain in hand, trusting in the power that sustains you? This angel's silent obedience marks a turning point in the greatest spiritual war ever conceived. And as we stand as witnesses in our mind's eye, the echo of that chain closing over the dragon scales continues to resonate. It declares, darkness, no matter how ancient, has limits. Evil, no matter how powerful, must kneel when heaven decrees its time is done. And sometimes, the most monumental victories are not achieved by the loudest heroes, but by those who simply obey. This is where the narrative takes an even more profound turn, because after this triumph, prophecy dictates that Satan will be released for a brief period before the final judgment. Why? What purpose could this serve? And what does it reveal about the ultimate destiny of darkness and the final test that humanity must face? Have you ever wondered why, after all that struggle, after 1,000 years of peace, Satan is unleashed once more? Why allow darkness to resurface, even for a short time? It seems almost cruel upon initial reflection, doesn't it? Humanity is given a glimpse of life without deception, only to witness the ancient serpent unleashed yet again. But as is often the case in Scripture, what appears to be a cruel twist often conceals a deeper wisdom, a more nuanced understanding of the divine plan. Picture it. The 1,000 years pass like a fleeting breath in the grand tapestry of eternity. A millennium of peace, a world where the dragon's voice falls silent. No more whispers to kings. No more seeds of rebellion sown in unsuspecting hearts. Just humanity, free to choose to heal, to rebuild. But here's the question that lingers in the silence: would we truly transform? Because the real adversary Scripture seems to suggest was never solely the dragon on the outside, but also the shadows that reside within us. The 1,000 years without Satan serve as a test of whether our hearts left undisturbed by his lies would still cling to the darkness of our own making. And perhaps that is why heaven permits the ancient enemy to roam free one last time, not to negate the previous victory, but to expose what still lurks within the hearts of nations, to demonstrate once and for all that evil is not merely something that tempts us from without, it is something that humanity itself must confront within. That realization strikes with considerable force, doesn't it? It certainly did for me. We tend to fantasize that if only the great deceiver vanished, the world would become a paradise. But Scripture teaches us that freedom from temptation does not automatically equate to purity of heart. It merely removes the external excuse. Thus the dragon rises again briefly yet powerfully, and humanity is presented with the oldest choice of all, to heed the voice of rebellion or to answer the quiet call of truth. And here's the chilling aspect of the prophecy. Despite 1,000 years of peace, countless souls still flock to the dragon's banner. Like dry grass igniting at the first spark, hearts once again burn with the embers of rebellion. Have you ever questioned why this is so? Perhaps it is because evil once tolerated leaves roots that penetrate deeper than we realize. Or perhaps it is because even in a world without deception, there are still those who would rather reign in darkness than serve in the light. It is easy to judge them from a distance, but then I recall my own life. The times when I have known the righteous path as clear as day, and yet chosen the familiar road, the comfortable road, the selfish road. Does that echo in your own story too? Those moments when it wasn't some external devil whispering, but your own inner voice making the case to remain in the shadows. Whether you interpret the story as literal prophecy or symbolic truth, it carries a timeless message. Sometimes darkness descends not by brute force, but through the steady sovereign will of something far greater than ourselves. And regardless of how ferocious the dragon may appear, there is always hope that in the end, justice will prevail. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey of exploration. If you have found this story to be thought-provoking, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon so that you will not miss our future explorations of faith meaning and the human condition. Until then, continue to reflect, continue to question, and keep your heart open to the larger story that is still being written. Ultimately, Revelation's portrait of restraint and release forces a painful question: will freedom refine us, or merely reveal what we truly are? The angel with the chain shows that authority can be quiet. The dragon's temporary confinement reveals mercy, wrapped in discipline. When he is loosed, our choices will scream louder than any prophecy. So live like someone who has been given a preview of grace, humble, vigilant, and stubbornly faithful. And remember, chains can bind, but they can also teach the heart to choose differently. Make that choice now. History remembers choices more than comfortable intentions every day. So what have we discovered on this journey through Revelation's powerful image of restraint and release? It's a story that whispers of limits to even the deepest darkness, a promise that justice will ultimately prevail, and a challenge to examine the choices we make, even when the most tempting voices are silent. It's a message of hope, yes, but also a call to action, reminding us that true freedom lies not just in the absence of chains, but in the conscious choice to walk a different path. We've only just scratched the surface, though. This is such a rich and complex passage, and there's so much more to unpack. In part 2, we'll be diving even deeper into the implications of Satan's final release and what it all means for our understanding of good and evil. Now I'd love to hear from you. What resonated most with you in this exploration? What questions are bubbling up? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going and learn from each other. And to make sure you don't miss part 2 and future videos exploring faith meaning and the mysteries of the human spirit, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. I can't wait to continue this journey with you all. See you next time.